that just comes in and we can plug it in to the economy of Massachusetts. They have announced that they're going to shoot a nuclear power plant up to the moon. Plutonium, uranium on the moon. How's that for waste and fraud and abuse? And as the Trump administration keeps the supply we desperately need off our grid, they're killing programs to lower bills. Trump fired everyone in the federal government who works on low-income home energy assistance. That's LIHEAP. And I know it's a good program because I was there when it got created. I was on the Energy Committee when we created it. And the Secretary of Energy is attacking energy efficiency standards that save an average family $500 a year in energy costs. And finally, for all their promises about natural gas, just follow the money to see what their real energy priorities are. Exporting American fuel overseas. So what they're doing is they have right now unrestricted liquefied natural gas exports, the type we're seeing now, and they're projected to increase energy costs for manufacturers by more than $125 billion and dramatically increase energy costs for households that do use natural gas. Why is that? Well, if you send 15 or 20% of your natural gas out of your country overseas, it's going to raise the price for the natural gas which is left for the consumers, for the homeowners here in the United States. And we're already seeing that dramatic spike in the price for natural gas here because of their export to other countries of our natural gas. He wants energy independence. He wants to export our natural gas and then have the consumers pay a higher price here. How can that be a good deal for our economy? So energy independence is not coming to our doorsteps under Trump. It's going out the door to chase the highest price on the market. And Massachusetts deserves better than an op-ed in the Boston Globe saying that we need more natural gas. And the American people deserve more than an EPA administrator who ultimately, Lee Zeldin is making EPA stand for every polluter's ally. That's what the EPA is turning into. They're firing hundreds of scientists. They're terrorizing anyone who seeks to stand up for the environment and the American consumer, and then all of the rest are going to be the agenda of the oil and gas industry. So we need programs that people can afford. We need clean, safe energy, and ultimately, as they announced earlier this week, they're now planning on abolishing the Solar for All program, which was going to have solar for 900,000 new homes in America. And they want to kill that program as well. And again, it's all part of a plot, all part of their crime against nature, against consumers, against jobs, on behalf of the natural gas and coal industries. That's what it's all about. It's a crime. And we are going to fight them every single step of the way. We are not going to allow them to engage in this dangerous behavior. So let me now turn and introduce Jamie Dickerson, the Senior Director of Clean Energy and Climate Programs at the Acadia Center. Welcome.
Thank you, Senator. So thank you, Senator Markey, fellow speakers. It's great to be here today and for all the work you're doing to highlight what's at stake for families, businesses, and communities in the region. As the Senator said, my name is Jamie Dickerson, Senior Director of Climate and Clean Energy Programs at Acadia Center. We are a regional clean energy nonprofit headquartered in Maine, but active across the Northeast, working on effective clean energy solutions. Now, it is true that consumers felt the crunch on their energy bills this past winter, and that was true for two main reasons. It's extraordinarily cold, and we as a region remain extraordinarily over-reliant on natural gas and fossil fuels. That left us acutely exposed to volatile spikes in fuel prices and energy bills as a result. And as the Senator just outlined, the Trump administration is now looking to pour salt into the wound with a set of actions that will simply drive up energy costs even further for households and for consumers. And in so doing, increase the risk to reliability of our power grid by kneecapping the very resources that are cheapest to deploy, quickest to deploy, and very recently have come to the rescue in terms of helping our grid during historic summer heat wave events. On offshore wind, you just heard about it. Forthcoming analysis that we've seen suggests that even a small offshore wind fleet in this region would have significantly lowered wholesale electricity prices last winter by about 10% on average region-wide. So Trump's vendetta against offshore wind is therefore stymieing not only billions in economic development, but hundreds of millions of dollars each year in energy market savings annually. The sweeping cuts on the solar and the wind tax credits in the budget bill, again, effectively taxing and making more expensive some of the cheapest and most cost-effective solutions we have to meet our energy needs and rising energy demand. Some of the national estimates that have gone around suggest $170 to $280 per year per household by 2035 in average cost increases from the tax credit cuts. You've heard about the proposed cuts to Solar for All and other IRA programs. Those were delivering hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars of investment into this region's economy. $450 million roughly from Solar for All for the 6 New England states. And that, again, was going to be going solar investment to low and moderate income households across the region. So that would be a huge blow, and it needs to be rescinded. The senator mentioned LIHEAP. It's about 1.5 million people in New England as of 2023 who live below the poverty line, so many of whom rely on LIHEAP to be able to keep their air conditioner on in the summer and the heating on in the winter. The Energy Star program, yet another cost-saving program that seems to be on the chopping block now. In 2024, this program's budget was just $35 million. I think you'd be hard-pressed to find a more cost-effective use of public dollars when $1 spent on Energy Star yields about $350 in energy cost savings over the lifetime of that effort. So that will drive up energy bills too. And most recently, and maybe most starkly, the proposed rescission by EPA of the endangerment finding, which underpins so much of federal greenhouse gas emission regulation. The withdrawal of that finding, the proposed withdrawal, would increase gasoline costs by as much as 75 cents per gallon. And that's according to the EPA's own regulatory impact analysis. Think about that and what that added burden would do to households who are already struggling to make ends meet with rising energy costs. So now, as the senator said, we're now presented with a pressure campaign of sorts to add natural gas pipeline capacity into the region. Fortunately, that would only do more of the same, drive up energy costs for New Englanders. Despite the advertisements, a new gas pipeline would only increase, not decrease, the cost of electricity in the region. That's for a few reasons, and really I think the case for a new gas pipeline has never been weaker, in fact. Consumers are going to be worse off as a result, and the clean energy alternatives have never been more abundant, cost-effective, and available to take advantage of. So it's clear so much has changed in the last 10 years since these pipeline debates have really started. America is now a net exporter of natural gas, as you just heard. States in the region have been ratcheting up their mandates, setting clear regulatory signals about the phase-out of natural gas. And during this time period, two things have been true. Winter peak electricity demand has been flat, if not slightly lower. And we've actually substantially increased the amount of gas capacity into the region by smaller incremental upgrades to the existing gas system. And during this period, when those two facts are true, gas prices have not moderated. In fact, they've only gone up. So we don't have any reason to believe that added interstate gas pipeline capacity would provide relief to gas commodity prices. So where does that leave us? Well, I think instead of a gas pipeline, this region has to continue forging ahead with building two clean energy pipelines. One of clean energy supply resources, offshore wind, interregional transmission, local solar, and a pipeline of clean energy, clean distributed and demand-side resources, energy efficiency, demand response, behind-the-meter storage. We've seen energy efficiency under attack in the last year, falsely scapegoated for adding costs, when in fact energy efficiency is helping us avoid even costlier outcomes in our energy markets and in our fuel markets. So, in closing, I'd really like to thank Senator Markey, my fellow advocates, for helping shine a light on really the high stakes of these energy infrastructure debates and the importance of staying the course on the region's clean energy infrastructure priorities. Again, doing so is the best and the only way to ensure that the most affordable and reliable energy system for New England will be there in the decades to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Much appreciated. Great job. Next, we're going to hear from Jennifer Bosco, Managing Director of Energy Advocacy at the National Consumer Law Center. Welcome.
Hello. And I am from the National Consumer Law Center. We're a nonprofit organization based here in Boston. We advocate for consumers nationally to advance economic justice and consumer justice for vulnerable families and low-income people. And energy affordability is a problem not just here in Massachusetts, but across the country. I know the U.S. Department of Energy surveys report that about 27% or more of families across the U.S. report having problems with energy affordability, whether that's facing disconnection, keeping their homes at an unsafe temperature, foregoing other necessities because of energy bills or the like. And the good news is we have proven strategies here in this country to help vulnerable families, working families, older adults, and rural residents with energy affordability. And a number of things we've heard a little bit about. The LIHEAP program that Senator Markey mentioned, the Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program, is critically important. Over 155,000 families in Massachusetts use this benefit to help keep their homes warm in the winter. And across the country, the program helps 6 million people nationwide. The Federal Weatherization Assistance Program also helps vulnerable families to save money on their energy bills by supporting weatherization, such as insulation and storm windows for homes to help keep energy bills lower. Energy efficiency standards for home appliances and the Energy Star program also save money for families by saving energy. The administration, though, has attacked all of these programs, fired federal staff, and proposed zeroing out the budget for the LIHEAP program. An administration that truly prioritizes energy affordability and that really cares about families being able to afford their monthly energy bills would instead strengthen the LIHEAP program, would support a strong federal weatherization assistance program, and would protect and expand appliance efficiency standards and the Energy Star program. So these are some of the most important tools that we have to help keep monthly energy bills more affordable for working families, for older adults, people with disabilities, and for everyone who pays an energy bill. We need to continue to work together to protect these vital programs. And thank you, Senator Markey, for all your work on behalf of low-income consumers.
Thank you, Jennifer, very much. And I appreciate the National Consumer Law Center. I was one of the first 10 employees of the National Consumer Law Center as a law student. And so absolutely guided by those principles that we have to make the consumer the king and queen, and not the utilities, not the oil and gas and coal industry. And that's what you're all about, and that's what this whole debate should be all about. Next, we're going to hear from Ann Corbin-Fennell, the Chief Operating Officer for Action for Boston Community Development. Welcome.
Good afternoon. First, I'd like to thank you, Senator Markey, because you've always been a great supporter of ABCD and the LIHEAP program, and your efforts highlighting the energy burden crisis in the nation has been, remarkable. So we want to thank you first. So we're grateful for the opportunity to speak on behalf of over 155,000 households in Massachusetts that will be left out literally in the cold if this life-saving program is eliminated. LIHEAP, which has received strong bipartisan support for over 43 years, is the first line of defense protecting over 6 million vulnerable individuals and families nationwide from extreme weather conditions. As a long-standing health and safety program, LIHEAP ensures that households have continued access to heating and cooling during deep freezes and heat threats that are experienced in every corner of our nation. Without this safety net, as Jennifer stated, many vulnerable seniors, people with disabilities, veterans, and children would be at risk of losing their housing or even worse, losing their lives. In Massachusetts, this program is delivered through a strong network of community action agencies, which ABCD is actually one of them, that work diligently with households and local vendors to stretch every dollar. LIHEAP also supports hundreds of thousands of small businesses across the country, which helps drive a successful economy. Local vendors are a critical part of the success of this program. This while potentially eliminating the need for consumers to make choices between food and sometimes life-threatening medication that, if they had to choose between food or heating their homes or cooling their homes, LIHEAP is a big factor in them making that decision. LIHEAP program also provides consumers with vital comprehensive energy education and security through direct fuel and utility payments, emergency crisis intervention, emergency heating system repairs and replacement, and weatherization to improve home energy assistance. As I stated, for 43 years, LIHEAP has always had a strong bipartisan support, and we're hopeful that the Congress will continue to support our LIHEAP program. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Great job. And again, as Ann is saying, that program, LIHEAP, Low Income Home Energy Program, was put on the books on a bipartisan basis. It was Sylvia Okanti, Republican from Massachusetts, and myself who were advocating for that program 43 years ago. And now, Donald Trump and the fossil fuel industry want to make it completely partisan. They want to wipe out this program, fire the people who administer the program. It's absolutely unconscionable, and ABCD is the voice for the poor people, for the families all across Massachusetts and all of the surrounding communities here to Boston. So we thank you. And finally, we're going to hear from Robert Hart, the Campaign and Advocacy Manager for the Environmental League of Massachusetts. Welcome.
Thank you, Senator Markey, for inviting me today to talk about an important issue that is facing the Commonwealth. My name is Rob Hart, and I'm the Campaign and Advocacy Manager at the Environmental League of Massachusetts. As the Commonwealth's oldest environmental advocacy organization, ELM has consistently been at the forefront of innovative environmental policy dedicated to ensuring the health and well-being of the environment and of future generations. The urgency of climate change demands steadfast and immediate leadership. We are thankful to have a leader like Senator Markey, who is a national figure in advocating for a more sustainable and healthy future and understands the critical times that we are in. Look, there is no skirting around the fact that energy costs are high, and many of us continue to be burdened with skyrocketing utility bills. But let me be clear. Smart policy is both pro-climate and pro-consumer. Our rising energy bills are largely driven by our region's dependence on costly imported fossil fuels, an aging grid, and inefficient utility practices, not clean energy mandates. Massachusetts is uniquely positioned to drive thoughtful and scalable solutions that will not only make the Commonwealth a healthier and more vibrant place to live, but also reduce energy costs. Increasing energy supply, like expanding our wind and solar capacity, will stabilize costs and allow our state to meet our rapidly increasing demand. Unlike fossil fuel infrastructure, renewable energy is the quickest to deploy, and that's even more true for wind and solar that was about to be built before the Trump administration slowed down our meaningful progress. Offshore wind is the largest lever the Commonwealth has to reduce our carbon emissions while also promoting reliable, homegrown energy. Wind is abundant in Massachusetts. We are home to the strongest offshore winds in the country. Unlike natural gas, wind is not imported, and it is not a finite resource. If offshore wind was online this past winter, when our winds are at their strongest, it would have meaningfully reduced utility bills. And the increased amount of behind-the-meter solar energy in Massachusetts saved ratepayers millions of dollars during the recent heat waves that we have been experiencing. Extreme weather events are becoming more and more common as a result of climate change, and we have proven resources that will help us curb the effects and costs associated with extreme heat and cold. But it is important that the system does work for everyone. Our fossil fuel infrastructure and profit-driven incentives leave ratepayers in Massachusetts struggling to keep up with rising costs. We are at a crossroads. Either we can continue to waste money investing in dangerous and outdated fossil fuel infrastructure being pushed on us by the federal administration, or we can use this moment as a perfect opportunity to create a more just system. Clean energy reduces our rates, but it also makes Massachusetts an even better place to live, work, and to visit. I like to think of a community like Salem, where an offshore wind terminal is being built on the site of an old oil and coal-powered plant. By leaving fossil fuels behind, over $9 million is coming back to the community via a community benefits agreement to support a wide range of projects, like more funding for the public school system. Clean energy means lower bills and thriving communities. This is why we need more leaders in Washington who will support us in building an energy system that is more independent, just, healthier, and economical. The federal government should be supporting Massachusetts in our efforts to achieve a clean energy future, not continue to push outdated and costly alternatives. Thank you. With that, I'm passing it back to the Senate.
Beautiful. Thank you, Rob, so much. So there you have it. God decided there would be no oil, gas, or coal here in New England. And so what we decided to do is to put together a plan to use the things that God did give us. The same winds that blew the pilgrims here to Plymouth and to Salem would be the same winds that the fishing industry, the whaling industry would use, and now that the offshore wind industry can use. We've been living with the benefits of wind for 400 years, and we had a plan to provide the electricity which we needed for our homes and our economies. And Donald Trump, on behalf of the natural gas industry, has decided to kill it, because you can generate electricity from wind and solar, or you can generate it from natural gas. Massachusetts had a plan for wind. Massachusetts had a plan for solar. But Trump has a plan to kill our solar and wind future and to substitute a natural gas future that was paid for by the natural gas industry in their contributions to the Trump campaign. And none of that natural gas comes from New England. It has to be imported. We don't need to import any more natural gas. We have a capacity to be able to use our own natural resources. And simultaneously, we need to make sure we take care of people who can't afford it, regardless of how inexpensive it becomes. And that's what LIHEAP is all about, what Ann was talking about. We need programs that deal with the reality of that. So I will just say this. I'm going to fight every day to make sure that the solar and wind future for Massachusetts and New England comes into existence. We can do this. It's the plan for the next generation of young Americans. It's where they want us to go. Lower cost, less pollution, and a future of ultimately taking advantage of the natural resources which we have here in New England. So if Lee Zeldin and Donald Trump wants a fight, we're ready for the fight. We're going to take them on here in New England, and we're not going to stop until we win for a clean energy future. So let me stop here and answer any questions that you may have about anything.